Leica cameras are known for the unparalleled quality of the lens and more for the hefty price tag any Leica model has. With a rich history of over 100 years, Leica had some legendary models as well as many historic pictures that were taken using them. In this video, we're going to take a look at the history of Leica, starting from its earliest day to the present. With that being said, let's get started. When Leica initially started, the company was not even called Leica. Its name was Ernst Leitz Optische Company, which was founded by Ernst Leitz in 1869. Prior to that, Leitz was working as a mechanic for mathematician Karl Kellner in his optical institute, which made microscopes. By 1900s, Leitz company had as many as 400 employees and were making thousands of microscopes each year. In the early 1900s, cameras were still bulky and out of reach for most people who weren't professionals. Both the weight and size of them made it something to only be used mostly in studios. Working on his microscopes and the lenses, Leitz believed he could make cameras more compact. In 1914, while working as an engineer for Leitz company, Oskar Bernack made the world's first 35mm compact camera and called it UR Leica, which translates to original Leica from German. This can be marked as a significant moment in the history of cameras, as there were finally a camera that was small enough to be carried in hand. However, it was still a prototype, and further research and development of UR Leica took a hit for World War I. In 1920, after the death of Ernst Leitz, his second son Ernst Leitz II became the chief of Leitz company and continued to work alongside Bernack. By 1924, Bernack believed development was complete, and later that year, Ernst Leitz II decided to mass-produce them. In 1925, at the Leipzig Spring Fair, Leica 1 was finally unveiled for the public. Leica 1 was the first 35mm publicly available camera of the company, but it was still a fixed-lens 35mm camera with shutter speed ranging from 1/25 with f-stop 3.5, which Bernack wanted to develop more. After working on it for a few years, in 1932, the improved model or Leica 2 was launched. This model was an improvement over the original Leica 1 as it had detachable and interchangeable lenses. This model allowed users to use lenses ranging from 35mm to 135mm. However, both the shutter speed and the f-stop value remained the same as Leica 1. In the later years of 1930s, Bernack continued to make improvements on Leica 2 and launched more models of them with improvements, as well as unveiled a new model called Leica 3. Leica 3 could shoot at lower shutter speeds compared to the earlier Leica 2 and was made from 1933 to 1939 under various model names. When World War II broke out, further development as well as production of Leica cameras saw a pause. However, Leica cameras were widely used by journalists to take pictures of the Second World War. Post-World War, the demand for the Leica cameras became so high from professionals, enthusiasts, or amateurs alike that the company had a hard time keeping up with it. In fact, used Leica cameras were one of the top traded items in the post-war German market. 1951 marked another milestone for Leitz company as the factory made its 1 millionth camera. A new model called Leica M3 was launched in 1954. And it was a phenomenal model for the company, with over 220,000 cameras being made between 1954 and 1966. The M models of Leica cameras are still made today. The M3 used a different mount as opposed to screw mounts in all previous models, called the Leica M mount. Leica cameras for the next half-century would continue using this mount, and other brands adapted it into their own as well. In the 1960s, besides making regular models of cameras, Leica made cameras to be used in special situations as well, like making custom Leica 3G cameras for the Swedish Army and cameras for NASA astronauts to be used in their space missions. The competition post-World War was really from the Japanese camera brands like Canon and Nikon. Leica launched its first single-lens reflex camera in 1965, which was called Leicaflex. Leicaflex were succeeded by more SLR cameras called Leicaflex SL, Leica Flex SL2, and Leica R series. In 1986, Leight's company's name was changed to Leica Camera AG because of the popularity of the trade name, and its factory was also moved to a different town in Germany. Leica's first digital camera, called the Digilux, was released in 2002. However, the M series rangefinder model was first launched in 2006, called the Leica M8. Leica M8 had a 10.8 megapixel sensor and was followed by M9 in 2009, which was the first full-frame digital model of Leica. The Leica M10 was launched in 2017 and is still being updated, with the latest one being Leica M10R, which was launched in 2020. Leica M10 has a 40 megapixel sensor and is the thinnest digital M series of Leica. If you talk about quality, Leica remains on the top tier of the camera market. But if you look at the price, it's way beyond a large portion of the camera market. And this is kind of ironic, as Leica was established with the vision to make cameras available to the masses. But now, they're branding themselves as an aristocrat camera brand. Leica camera has its history, which dates back to the late 1860s and is still going on strong. Leica has always held strong to its core principle, impeccable quality of product and innovation. From making the world's first publicly available handheld 35mm camera to the latest Leica M10, the company had made improvements and new developments to incorporate the needs of every new era. That's why professional photographers can swear on the unparalleled quality of Leica lens compared to any other brand's lens. And we believe Leica would continue being the prestigious brand they always have been. What do you think? Let us know in the comment box below.